Let's try converting 120 meters into yards. So first I'm going to set up a unit ratio for 120 meters. So I put 120 meters over 1. And now I don't know off the top of my head a direct conversion that goes from meters into yards. So I'm going to have to use some kind of reference page or table that tells me how to go into a smaller unit. So it turns out that I'm going to use a known conversion that takes me from meters into the imperial unit of feet. Okay, and it turns out that 1 foot is the same thing as 0.3048 meters. So again, you're not expected to know that off the top of your head. You'd have to use some kind of reference there. But at this step, if you multiply these two fractions together, you should see that meters cancel meters. And so at this stage, I would be left with an answer that's in feet. But of course, we know that we're trying to get into an answer that's yards. So I'm going to have to multiply by another fraction. And this time I'll have to keep feet on the bottom to make it cancel. And I want to end up with the unit of yards on top. So this time it turns out that 1 yard is equivalent to 3 feet. At this step, it's really all about using the calculator effectively. And I'll show you 2 different ways that you can get the final answer. One way is going to be a lot more work. And this is probably the way most of our students will try to do it, which is to multiply straight across. That means multiply everything that's in the numerator together and put it over whatever you get when you multiply everything in the denominator together. So I'm going to show that work here. And by the way, I should have canceled feet here, because I only want to end up with yards on top for my final answer. So if I multiply straight across, 120 times 1 times 1, well, that I can do in my head. That's just 120. But I'll have to use the calculator to multiply what's in the denominator. So if you take 0.3048 times 3, that turns out to be this number, 0.9144. And remember, we're getting yards on top, which is what we want our answer to be in. So now I'll have to do one more step on the calculator, which is to take this number and divide it by this number. So let me show that work here. If you take 120 divided by 0.9144, that will give us the answer. So I'm going to round to 2 decimal places here. It's approximately 131.23 yards. Which is fine, that is the answer, but I was going to show you a much easier way of getting that final answer without having to do this extra step in the middle. And I'll show you what I mean. So let me clear what's in the calculator here. So I just want to remind you that multiplying by 1 over something is the same thing as dividing by that something. So instead of figuring out what's on the top and then figuring out what's on the bottom and saving this intermediate step to get the answer, I'll do it in a much more efficient way. I'm going to take the 120, dividing it by 0.3048, and then dividing that answer by 3. So remember, dividing by each of these 2 numbers is the same thing as multiplying by each of their reciprocals. So if I do that calculator work and hit enter, you get exactly the same answer, but with just much fewer steps. So that's our answer, 131.23 yards.
Okay, we're going to do another conversion here. We're trying to convert 88 inches per second into miles per day. All right, so some things about the wording here. When we see 88 inches per second, what this means is 88 inches per creates a ratio. Per second means per 1 second. So this is what we're starting with, and somehow at the end of this, we want to get to miles per day. So we want our final unit here is going to be miles over days. That's our goal, is to get to this. So to do this, we're going to start multiplying by these conversion factors that are ratios that are going to eventually get us over there. So I like to start with one of these and convert to, like in this case, the distance, inches. I want to convert it to miles. After I figure that out, then I'm going to go and get my time conversion from seconds to days. So let's start with inches. So here again, this will depend on what sort of reference you have, what sort of table you're working off of. Some of these we may know just out of our own experiences in life. Let's try and go first inches to feet. So that's something that I know without a table. So, sorry, I put that backwards. That's a good point to point out right now. I want inches on the bottom because I want my inches to cancel. So inches here. And what I do know is that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So that will allow me to get rid of inches, and now my units are going to be in feet on top. Eventually I'm going to need to get to miles. So here a table would be helpful because there is a conversion from feet to miles, and it goes like this. You have feet here, again, because we want to cancel, miles here on top, and there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So we'll be able to cancel out our feet, and we will have reached the unit of miles, which was our objective. So that takes care of our inches. Now we need to get from seconds to days. So to do this, let me give myself a little more room here. Let's see, what do I know about seconds? Well, I know there's 60 seconds, just going to abbreviate that, 60 seconds in 1 minute. So that will allow me to cancel out the seconds. So notice I put the seconds on top this time because I'm trying to get my units, my seconds units to cancel, but it was in the denominator, so that's why my seconds was in the numerator here. Now I'll have minutes on the bottom. Remember, I'm trying to get to days. So what do I know about minutes? Well, I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Again, I want the minutes on top so it'll cancel. And then finally, I know that there are 24 hours in 1 day. So my hours will cancel, and I will be left with days. So my units here at the very end are miles over days, or miles per day. And now I need to get on my calculator and do this. Well, we can do kind of the shortcut here, which is to use the fact that multiplying by this fraction is the same as dividing by its reciprocal. So I'm actually going to write this out just to convince ourselves. All these units are gone, so I have 88. I'm doing times 1/12, then I'm doing times 1 over 5,280, and then times, this is 60. I'm going to write 60 over 1 is 60, 60 over 1 is 60, and then 24 over 1 as 24, and then finally this is our units, which is going to be miles per day. I'm going to slash it like that, miles per day. So this is what I want to point out. This right here really means dividing by the reciprocal. So that's divide by 12, and then divide by the reciprocal here, 5280, and then times 60 times 60 times 24. So that's what I'm going to do on my calculator. 88, oops, got to turn on, 88 divided by 12 divided by 5280 times 60 times 60 times 24. 120 miles per day. So an object that's traveling 88 inches every second is equivalent to traveling 120 miles in 1 day.